Hey, so I'm going to show you how I made this uh, Western boots pattern in Procreate. From start to finish, it took about an hour and 16 minutes, and I did no pre-planning or thinking about it beforehand. So yeah, I used a scallop template to get the shape nice and tidy. If you want to do the same, then you can download 3 free pattern templates from my website. They are really easy to make yourself, but yeah, why would you when it's available for free? I'll leave the link for that down below. The pattern templates are stamp brushes, so I just stamp that shape in the middle of the canvas and then make it fit the canvas so it fills the full size. And then I just reduce the opacity of that down to about 10%. It's handy to be able to see the pattern template, but it's also nice if it's not too strong. And then I get a couple of other layers on top of that and group them because that will make it easier later when I want to make the actual pattern repeat. On another layer that isn't the template layer, I set the vertical symmetry on and then use a 6B pencil, which is one that comes free with Procreate, in a dark color, and just start sketching. I kind of had this vague idea that I wanted to do a boots pattern and I wanted to make it somehow fit in this template. I think it's a really attractive, neat and tidy template, which is nice sometimes. As much as I like flowy designs, I also really like these neat and tidy ones as well, which are a little bit more simple. I did try and keep this pattern somewhat simple, but towards the end, as you'll see, I lose track of that and just want to fill all the space. But yeah, we'll get to that later. So at this stage, I just do a rough sketch. I'm not using any reference images and I didn't do any research beforehand, so I really am just sort of making it up as I go from memory. So what you'll see me do here is just testing the pattern to see what it looks like when it's fully repeating. So I've duplicated that sketch layer and I've just moved them up into each corner of the canvas, and now I've flattened that and I'm just resizing that so each flat layer is in each quarter of the canvas. I had like this idea here that I was playing with. Maybe I could join those lines around the edge of the scallop shape with the wavy lines that I've put in at the bottom. I didn't go for that in the end, but this is quite a good sort of time to experiment with ideas when you can see it repeating like this. And then I had like an urge to fill the space with the sun there, which I decided not to go for, and I decided to draw the sun on the boot instead, and a few wonky star shapes which I really like. So I did stick with that idea. I had a little play with the snake. I really like the idea of having the snake on here, but it took a few attempts to sort of figure out how I wanted that to look, and if I could make it feel that shape really nice and be really sort of wobbly, I don't know, curvy, what's the right word for that? So here is where I go into my stats. I did this purely for camera. I don't always look at this, but this is just me showing you that it took me 19 minutes to get to this stage, and this is about the time where I will do some color blocking. So I create new layers underneath my sketch layer and make sure I've got the drawing assist on. Then I start blocking in very, very loosely the colours that I think I want to use, using my favourite brush for this, which is the Botanical Sketching brush by Lisa Glanz. All her brushes are amazing. This is my favourite one for doing this. I've got a go-to colour palette that I start with pretty much all of the time. It saves loads of decision making and speeds things up. but it's not set in stone, so I know I can always tweak it later if it's not quite right. So yeah, I'll speed this bit up anyway, but you'll see how I sort of have a play with different color ideas. So with patterns like this, I love bringing them into Adobe Illustrator to vectorize and then use the recolor artwork tool. It's a really fun way to play around with loads of colors really quickly. It's great for experimenting with different palettes without overthinking it. So yeah, if you'd like to see how I go about vectorizing something like this and then switching up the colors, let me know and I'll make a video on it. So this is the colour palette that I settled on, and in total this part of the process took me 8 minutes, bringing me up to 27 minutes in total. If you know me on Instagram, you'll see a lot of this colour palette. I tend to go for this quite a lot. And now it's time for me to do some nice tidy drawings. So I just smoosh all those colour blocking layers together and move them way out of the way. I don't want to accidentally draw on that layer. I lock my sketch layer as well so I don't accidentally draw on that. But yeah, and then I just make some new layers underneath, put the drawing assist on, get my favourite pen, which is the technical pen. I put each different colour on a different layer. That will really help me out later when I want to put this into Adobe Illustrator and vector it. So yeah, I thought I'd take a sec to chat about what I'm actually doing with this channel, because honestly I'm still figuring it out a bit. If you know me personally or if you know me from Instagram, you'll know that this is quite a new thing for me. So I know I want it to be a space where I can share my creative process, or the random behind the scenes stuff, and maybe just, you know, be a bit kind of be easy and a bit more myself, you know. I'm not totally sure what that looks like yet. It could be some studio vlogs, rambly art chats, or something else entirely. So I've obviously started off with these more like how I make my patterns. That seems like a really natural thing to do for me. But yeah, if you've got any specific things that you would be interested in, that you'd like to see here, then go ahead and let me know. And in the meantime, I'm just going to keep showing up and see where this goes. So I'm pretty much finished with my tidy drawing, or at least at this stage I think I am. I do go back to it later and change a few things, but for now I just wanted to make it into a repeat pattern. So I have duplicated my group and I've renamed them, the inner group and what's going to be like the edge group. And then I've added 4 new layers and filled each one completely with a solid color. And we're making sure magnetics and snapping is turned on. I resize each one of those big blocks of color so that they fit perfectly in each of the 4 corners of the canvas. Then I select each layer, or I select what's on each layer, and then make a new selection in the Save and Load tool at the bottom, which you can see there. And now we don't need those colors anymore, so we can just delete that. And there we go. Yeah, so at this point, I kind of knew that I wasn't really liking those blue wavy lines. I don't think they were particularly well drawn, and I also thought they were just a little bit thin and spindly. But just to test it anyway, I duplicated those 2 groups and then flattened them into one terrifyingly flat layer. duplicated that a few times and then resized each one of those layers into like the perfect quarter of the canvas so that I could see what the pattern looks like. I think by this point I had already decided that I didn't like those blue wavy lines, and I was just trying to weigh up if it was how annoying it would be to redraw them. I decided that it would be annoying, but it would also definitely be worth it. So yeah, I did that anyway. So I just deleted that edge group and then went back in to my went back into drawing mode and redrew those blue wavy lines with a chunkier brush. And I just wanted to show you here that so far this pattern has taken me an hour. So if I had done those blue lines better to begin with, then I probably could have had like a finished pattern within in just an hour, which is really nice. But it's totally worth, if you're not happy with something, it's always definitely worth going back in and just fixing any little issues that you think might need fixing. As you saw earlier when I was doing the sketching, I did try out putting a sun in that big space. I know that not all of the white space needs to be filled in, but there's quite a big part of me that just really likes filling in all the space. So that's what I do next. Is I don't use the sun because I've already put that on the boots. I did wonder maybe if I could do another snake in there, but I settled on doing some leaves instead. Really nice wobbly ones, which I think was a really good idea, and I'm really happy with that decision. When I was drawing this leaf, I actually forgot to put the assisted drawing on, so it wasn't drawing it on the other side of the canvas as well. So I'll show you how I got around that. It's something that I definitely do more often than I should, and I do check now a lot more, because the amount of times I've drawn on a layer that doesn't have the assisted drawing on when it should. When you're zoomed in like this, you can't tell that it isn't drawing on the other side as well until you zoom back out to check it, and then it's too late. So the options are to just redraw it from scratch, or just redraw that bit that you've done that didn't have the assisted drawing on, or what I'm about to show you. This is where I realized what I'd done. So I just duplicated that, realized that's not what to do, put a layer underneath that leaf, fill it with a color, duplicate those two layers, and then flip them horizontally and delete those two solid colors. And there we go, that's perfect. I drew the leaf in the middle without the symmetry on, just because I thought it looked good that way. So I was happy with my drawing now, and I did the whole make it repeat thing like I showed you earlier. I didn't use the scallop template when I redid the blue wavy lines, so I've gone a little bit overboard with them. I've gone past where the template is, so I just adjust that on the on that central group there, on that blue layer. And then I know that I will need to make it repeat again, so I have to delete that edge group and do that process again. So this was also about the time that my phone battery died and stopped recording. So I'm just hopping in here, Lauren from the future, to show you what it looks like when I've finished that and set it up to post on Instagram. There we go, it's got my logo in the corner and it's vertical. And I hope you enjoyed this, and goodbye, see you next week.